I'm sure
Thank you. I am recovering, so I couldn't do it myself. Thanks for the assistance. Appreciate it. Quick reminder, just get us the Wi-Fi, so use your phone and don't lock the camera. Thanks. All right, let's jump in. Bucket bills. Let's start with bucket bills, and I'm going to start with one because I can. I want to give a bucket bill to everybody at Family Reunion because I ran into Judy, to Sam and Yanni, to Bridget, I so many of you at Family Reunion, Emily I saw. And every single time, Chris Spade, Green, like I see you guys all over. It for me was so fun, Stephanie, to sit there and hear what you guys were getting out of those sessions. And my big aha, and the thing that made me really happy and grateful to be there with you all, is you all run such different but successful businesses. And that was really freaking cool to see you guys thriving in your cheesebook world, investor world, like all of the different things. For me, that lit me up and it gave me more sense of passion to dive into the things that I really love. So thank you to everybody that stopped in the hall and said hi to me. And I'm so excited that you guys were getting something for your business.
I have 3 bucket fills today. First one is to All Coast Restoration that was just here and sponsored our lunch. I was in a pickle with a property and there was a cigarette smell that the seller may or may not have denied smelling, and Yvette did some miracle work at an open house to help, but All Coast really saved us. They were able to charge us a reasonable amount, got rid of the smell, and I'm happy to say we should have our buyer removing contingencies today. And my third one is to Danny over at Morrison Inspections. If you guys haven't worked with her yet, one of the cool things about working with them is I've got a property with a pool, what else? Like 3 things. Oh, and then a camera scope needed and a home inspection. And they can do it all. Nice. Same day, same time. Nice. We don't have to go out there 85 times for all the different inspections. So that's a huge plus if you're thinking of inspectors, think Danny. Thank
you. Any other gratitude bucket fills? Awesome. It's a good way to start. Oh, birthdays. Okay, Nancy said that everybody has to come up to the front because she's going to take a picture. Where'd she go? With the cake. With the cake. Nikki, you're here. Who else is here for birthdays? Nancy? I'm not going to. Come on, let's go. Oh, yeah. Come on, Nikki. All right. Who else is here? Greg and Nick are here. Outside food, enjoy it.
It's used cake. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Who has a birthday?
Mike has a property pitch.
I have a property pitch, yes. 111 Little Oaks is gonna be live next week. 4-bed, 2-bath, pretty much completely remodeled, new flooring and paint. We're going on, 1.5-ish?
Right there.
Still finalizing that. The closest comp is a block away, and that's in escrow at 1.8 million. So Encinitas.
Instant equity.
Yep, so instant equity, hop on that. Don't miss out.
Em?
Yeah, I have an off-market five bedroom with a little awesome library office with one of those ladders and everything. Three full baths, 2,800 square feet almost. UTC Canyon lot. It's gonna hopefully stay off market. We're wanting to do a private sale. You can talk to me more about that later. It is 1.9. Needs some cosmetic fixes. Some of the stuff is done. That's about it.
Awesome. Very good. Steve, and then
I have a property coming in North Claremont, Mesa area for 1.85 million, completely redone, 4-bedroom, 4-bath. Pretty awesome property. Will be on the market within 3 weeks.
Awesome. Sweet. Bridget and then Dan.
I've got a listing in Santee coming up on Friday on Ronnie Court. It's a 4-bedroom. It's really a 5-bedroom. It's over 1,650 square feet. This is like a pie-shaped lot, so it's got a lot of backyard space. Only thing is it does not have a garage. It'll be on at 869, and it's right up against a cool space with some like ranch type animals in the back across the canyon. It's actually it's pretty cool. Kinds of good animals. And then also I've got one coming up on Avenida Wilfredo in La Jolla. That one will be it's about 2,000 square feet. It'll be listed at $3 million in about 2 weeks. And then I've got one more coming up same week, hopefully. In if you're familiar with Sea Colony, those places never come up for sale.
Never.
This one, we're doing some good renovations. I've got my project manager here. That one will be on probably mid-700s, but honestly, it's looking so good I might have to up the price. But it'll be on the market in about 2 weeks.
So do you know which phase it is or how many bedrooms?
It's the 2-bedroom floor plan that's like 1,000 square feet or just under 1,000 square feet. That'll be a good one too.
What are the HOAs on that, Bruce?
Oh gosh, HOAs are probably in the 400s. maybe?
I would, yeah.
In the 400s, and there is possibly an assessment coming up at some point, like every other community.
But it's a great community in Pueblo.
Great.
It's a great community.
Very desirable.
People-
Nobody ever leaves.
When
there.
is this one coming? 2 weeks, you said?
That one will be 2 weeks. Yeah.
It's right next to us.
Awesome. Dan.
I have, for those of you not wanting to spend upwards of $1 million or have clients that want to be a little lower than that, I have a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom coming in North Park at the beginning of April. So it's beautifully updated. It's in an 18-unit complex, so it's not those tiny little 8-unit ones. It's going to be listed at $425. It's about 500 square feet, give or take a little bit. HOAs are around 248, and I was just there having photos done. It's really cute. So.
Awesome. Great. Good variety too. You got a buyer, we got a place to sell them. Yeah, great.
So I have a little announcement, is would it be appropriate to say here?
Sure.
For next week's, next week we have Adam
we have a
for our team. Oh, do you have?
Yeah.
You have a slide for that?
No slide for that.
Oh, awesome.
Any other property listings? I'll come back to you.
Okay, good.
Okay. Bridget already beat me to it, but yeah, huge shout out. If you guys were here, he did a lunch and learn. Fascinating. I found out so much about mold that will help me actually walk through with my clients, but I know Emily is already used, has experience.
Yeah, it's not up there, but if you burn plastic, you can also help with that odor.
Yeah, we're finding out there's all kinds of things. So Bridget has already worked with Freddie and the team. Emily has, I think, Chris, I think you worked with him.
No, not exactly.
Sort of. So there's already been some situations that are coming up, and he does all kinds of restorations. So if your client has water damage, if there's mold damage, if there's burning plastic, give Freddie a call. If you scan that QR code, it just takes a picture. It takes you to a place where it has his contact. So that'll get you his info into your phone. I also just posted this on our Facebook page. So if you want to do it later, you can absolutely do that. But my rule of thumb is like, just have it in your phone so that when the unexpected happens, you're like, crap, who is that guy that does the thing and I need the water damage? He's already in your phone. And then please take a goodie on your way out. So if you need a new pen or paper, a brochure, card, grab that on your way out. We're so thankful he brought in lunch today. He's our lunch sponsor. So thank you, Freddie. Another code, just as a reminder, if you need any other of the vendors in our vendor network, scan this code and that will take you there. This is also posted on our Facebook page. But if you need anyone, if you need a painter, if you need anybody at all, that's where everybody in our vendor and partner network is listed. Yeah, actually.
What if they have referrals for vendors that they want in our network?
Great question. So if you have a referral for a vendor that would be great for all of your agent friends to know about, we are having a session on March 12th. So that would be our next vendor information session. I am happy to just let me know. I'm happy to then copy the person and send them that Eventbrite link. We want them to RSVP just so Ashley and I know who's coming. But that's the best way to get them in because they get to experience what it's like to be in the room with the other vendors in the network. And then they also get to see what it's like to be at a team meeting. So we do it just before the Ashley staff meeting. So March 12th will be our next vendor information session if you have somebody. Yep, thank you for reminding me. Don't forget, Mondays with Mark, Wednesdays Command with Uncle Bob, and every weekday Daily Spark with Sarah. She's trying out some new formats, so go and watch those. Let her know what's working and not working. She really just wants to do it in a format that makes sense for you guys. So give it a watch. Let her know if it's working or if you prefer the old format, and she's working to make sure that she just gets you that information. That's the most important thing about starting your day with some good new information. Now, Cree, now's your point to go. Of course, we need to.
And cake in my mouth.
I know.
So allow me to just read this real quick. So we're having Adam Boxman come and share some information with us for creating the epic homebuyer experience. At the end of our session, be excited about the NAR settlement and the future of buyer agency. Understand what really drives repeat and referral clients. Commit to a properly prepared and practiced buyer consultation. Understand the 6 must-complete goals of every consultation. Know how you can make more money in less time. And finally, understand how providing an epic client experience with every transaction will create lifetime clients and referrals. So Adam Boxman is an agent and trainer with KW. He travels around the U.S. in training. And we'll also try to get a sponsored lunch here. So please try to make it. You're going to get great value from him. It's going to be pretty amazing.
What time is what time?
At the meeting 1:30, Wednesday, sorry.
Next Wednesday, on the regular, same bat time, same bat
And
channel.
plan on being here until, if you can, until about 3:30ish because his presentation is a little longer. And he's going to have a Q&A the last half hour or so. So you can ask him.
1:30.
Awesome. So next Wednesday, March 5th at 1:30.
And we're going to try to get us, I don't know if I said this already, sponsored lunch over there.
Excellent. Like meeting space, I know somebody using a tape made me very happy. For those of you, Noble's in the back, Noble wave hi.
Hey, Noble.
If you need anything escrow, see Noble. That's his info. He's awesome. He'll get you in with one of your senior escrow officers. I have some people to congratulate for February. Joe, Green, and Sal, congratulations on your escrow. Because as she always says, what you're doing now happens in the future. We can look to next month, and I'm so excited to already congratulate Joe, Astrid, Vinny, Sammy, Andy, Mike, Kelly, Emmanuel, and Lydia. Congratulations. I will also say some people on this slide have 2 escrows in with escrow partners right now, so they may come up on another slide again, but for now, February, March, congratulations, you guys. You're doing awesome. It's so fun to see the emails coming in. You guys are all doing escrow. Congratulations. You, me.
We have some really exciting announcements in the coaching program. Haley closed her very first escrow. Another one that just closed her very first escrow is Katie. Congratulations. They're both in launch with me, and then Marlon, who's in growth with me, just got another ERPC signed at 4%.
It's you, Ed.
What up, you guys? Give a pat.
Love
seeing everybody. Alright, so, good news, rates are still coming down. So this is great. Keeping us really busy. So awesome news, we're back like firmly in the sixes, you guys. So government loans are in the low sixes right now. Regular conventional loans are like mid to high sixes. And jumbo loans are probably in the high sixes as well. So great news out of the sevens. I hate that number at this point. So if anybody has anyone that they've locked in the past week or two, and they need a quick turnaround, they want to save their folks some money, double check with us because we might be able to get them a substantially lower rate right now and still close on time, you guys. Wanted to bring up leases with you guys. I know it's not exactly a big thing that we normally talk about when we're buying real estate, but a lot of times you wind up buying something and someone's already living in there, right? And we have to be worried not only from a lender standpoint, but also from the buyer standpoint, right? And from your guys' standpoint. So BB will be talking about this, so we're kind of coordinating a little bit today to kind of tee them up, but look, we prioritize as lenders that property and the occupancy of that property is going to determine what kind of interest rate you guys are going to get, right? So if it's an owner-occupied property, you're talking sometimes upwards of 0.5%, maybe 0.75% higher in rate for an investment property. It could be even higher than that depending on their credit scores and how much money they're putting down, right? So think about it, right? Occupancy fraud right now is the biggest form of fraud in the United States for our industry. People lie all the time about who is going to be living in that property. And it is huge. And you know what? It's a felony. And if you're privy to it, it is a big friggin' deal. Like if you get caught and you have any kind of communication with that person that you knew that was going down, like, so be very, very careful, you guys. So this is why I'm bringing this up. I want you guys to understand, like, we are all impacted with this. If someone tells that to me, like, I'm hands off right away. I'm switching this loan to an investment property. You're paying a higher rate, and I'm safe. I'm protecting CYA all day long. Like, it's not worth it to me. Seller has got to take possession within 60 days of its owner occupancy. Okay. If there's going to be any kind of delays, you guys push the escrow back. Like, make sure we're coordinating this. That we're all talking about this. You're talking about it. If it's not me doing the loan, make sure you're coordinating this, being open and honest with the lender. Right? Because that is what triggers the mortgage company to take a look at this property to make sure that it's owner occupied, right? They look at it after that 60 days. Trying to go really fast because I know BB needs us 2 minutes. You guys, potential property damage to it. Think about it. I had this when I was buying my place. The guy hacked up the floors on his way out of the house. Like destroyed the floor. Like this happens all the time. So who's gonna cover that? Right? You gotta make sure that you're writing that into your contracts. Right? And you make sure that you're covering your buyer's rear end when you're negotiating this. Also insurance gaps, you guys. If someone's living in there, you're gonna have to have separate insurance because you have a renter in there just for that period of time. And you have to make sure that there's no gaps in insurance. So yes, you're taking it as an owner occupied, but you need to make sure that there's also a renter's portion of that in there because it's not your property quite yet, right? So as you can see, there's a lot of little nuances here. And then who's gonna take responsibility of that? What if the leases aren't extended? So like I had one just now that just closed where she had somebody in there now, but they're not gonna be there when they take possession. They're out. So how is that lender gonna use that potential, if it's a multifamily, this is a multifamily, how are they gonna use that rent to help qualify it, right? There are other inspections that we can do. We can have the appraiser do an additional form and take a look at market rents and give us those numbers, and we can use 75% of those rents to help qualify a borrower on a multi-unit, right? So these are all things that we need to consider and we need to talk about and make sure that you guys are aware that they exist. So that's my 2 cents for the day. I'll stick around for BB's presentation as well because you guys might have legal other questions, mortgage related. But yeah, hopefully we get a little bit smarter today. Love you guys.
Thanks, Eddie.
Okay, as a customer to BB, I just kind of caught my eye when I was walking out there. If you have an open transaction, if you're about to have an open transaction, and you're not sure if you're signed up for KW Cares, and you want to make sure that you at least donate the $5, which is how we got all the hearts on the walls, please see Nancy or Ariana after the meeting. Just make sure you're signed up to do the $5. Or if you'd like to do more, that's fine as well. BB, look how well we did. Look how much time we gave you.
Oh, so appreciate it.
Yeah, it's your turn. I know, even with Ed going long, I was very, very efficient.
Eddie did my entire presentation. We can leave now. How's everybody today?
Great.
So, this is what we're going to talk about today. How are you guys feeling? Like stress? Has there been a lot of stress? A little bit of stress. How's the mood out there in the real estate?
Ask Katie.
That's who?
Katie.
Katie.
Just closed escrow.
Why? What's the mood?
It's not bad.
With her clients, it's not.
With my clients, it was a tough one, but I'm good now.
Are you guys managing your stress?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you guys have a meditation practice?
Alcohol.
Sorry?
Chris says
It's like alcohol.
Alcohol can be
Alcohol.
So I read a whole bunch of stuff about the planets because it's all in stars. Everything's in stars. And right now, what do you think of when you think of Mars? What color is Mars?
Red.
It's red, right? So it's a fiery planet. So Mars being a fiery planet is now going direct, which means it was in
I bet there is no
retro.
other broker meeting. That's
And so when it moves direct, period, people are a little bit more emotional than they normally are. Because I know, I get the phone calls. So I have a little breathing exercise. I want everybody just to feel your shoulders. You feel like you're tense.
Yes.
All right, just close your eyes. I'm not going to do anything weird. I want you to just take a few minutes and you're going to breathe in 3, hold for 4, and then out for 5. So breathe in for 3, hold for 4, out for 5. Breathe in for 3, hold for 4, out for 5. When you breathe out 5 seconds, the longer than you breathe in, what happens is that activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for your body's relaxation response. So, if you're stressed, or you have a client that you want to yell at, or you want to send a sassy email, you might want to do this exercise first, because I've received some emails in the last few days that maybe people could have thought what they were writing before they put it in their email. And we all get that way in this environment, especially this year. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there in the universe, but I bring stuff like this because I want you guys to relax into the moment. You'll increase your performance, you'll increase your happiness, your interactions with your buyers and sellers, and you'll make more money.
Thank you, Dee.
Yeah. So we're going to start talking about the SIP and RLAS. The SIP, who knows what they are?
Salary possession.
And what's the other one?
Residential lease.
All right. Here's the 2 things that we happen the most, that happens the most when we have these in a transaction. Keys and insurance. Eddie talked a little bit about insurance, but we're going to review. So the SIP, it's actually not a lease. They call it a license to occupy. Why did they change that? It's for people that are going to stay in the property, if a seller is going to stay in the property 29 days or less. So when they made it a license to occupy, that kind of like sort of bypassed the California tenant landlord rules, which made it easier if we needed to get that seller who decided to overstay their welcome into the property. And there's actually in item 7F, I want to review that because people tend to forget this, that, the buyer, who is now the property owner, gets a copy of the keys at close of escrow. We have a number of agents out there on the cooperating side that don't know that. And we had an incident this week where the agent was not getting a call back from the listing agent, and we'd already closed escrow. So this is the section in the SIP that says, if seller remains in possession, they need to provide keys, passwords, codes, and means to operate all locks, mailboxes, security systems, alarms, home automations, etc. So as a listing agent, I'm pointing this out to you so you're aware of it, but as a buyer's agent, most importantly, you need to make sure you're on top of this prior to close of escrow. Because a lot of agents end up not knowing that, and then escrow closes and you're attempting to get the key. So don't ask for the keys the day of the close of escrow. Ask prior to close of escrow, like weeks in advance. Just so you're aware, my buyers want a copy of all the keys and necessary items once we take possession of the property, even though we know that your seller will be in there. So have that conversation up front. It makes things go a lot easier. And it is pointed out in section 6A, unless it's checked that they're not going to do it, but you never want to check that box. And in the RLAS, it's 30 days or more, and as Ed said, from a lending standpoint, if you know that that buyer is going to, the seller is going to remain in possession longer than 60 days, that could screw up your loan. So you can't do an escrow or a possession longer than 60 days if it's going to be an owner-occupied home. Because, Ed, are you here?
Yeah.
So you said it was a felony?
No.
Fraud
is
a felony. To say that you're
Yeah,
occupying.
any kind of mortgage fraud, no.
How much jail time?
I'll look it up, I don't know.
But you go to jail, right?
No, felony, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Unless, yeah.
So that's not covered by your just in case you guys want to know that.
So I was not gonna.
But that is covered in the RLS, it's covered in section 7. Okay? So that's the sections of the contract you reference if you have a listing agent that doesn't know the contract because they haven't read it in 20 years. Or they hadn't read the new one yet either. The other thing that we have is the most common thing is insurance. So if you represent a buyer that's moving in, they need to speak to their insurance agent to make sure that the insurance company is aware that there's going to be a seller in possession for a certain amount of time after close of escrow. Because they might need to put a rider on the policy to allow that coverage during that period. But in addition, as a buyer, the buyer also needs to probably get what is known as renter's insurance during that period that they're in there. And usually they sell those policies for an annual premium. I did this when I sold my last home and I occupied it for a certain amount of time. So I just got the annual premium, paid for it, I paid it on monthly, then I canceled it. So if they say, oh, well, we have to buy the whole year. No, you don't. You just do payments and then cancel for the time, after the time that you don't need it.
Phoebe,
Yes.
on that same topic, I am working on getting an insurance broker to come next week during our team meeting, right before the Adam Boxman presentation to talk about all these things. So have questions prepared. They're gonna have a short Q&A, but they are gonna talk about everything insurance related.
Awesome.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate it. I was actually going to ask for an insurance agent to come in. What time are they coming in?
Got you covered. 1:30 when our meeting starts. Well, I'm trying to get them to sponsor lunch. I think they agreed. So 12:45, I think I'm gonna tell them to come in with the food, and then the meeting starts at 1:30.
I'm looking forward to talking to them because I want to ask an insurance agent what they're dealing with.
I can connect you beforehand if you want, Phoebe, so you can.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Speaking of insurance, I just heard that at the CAR meetings, they were saying that if a property is held in a trust, the trust needs to be indicated on the homeowner's insurance, because some companies now are denying claims if it's just, Jack and Jane Doe, when it's Jack and Jane Doe Trust.
I actually just spoke with one of the title reps that calls on the office. He said that is an Instagram scam, and most insurance companies will agree that it's not necessary as long as the name of the trust is the same as the name of the owners of the policy.
Well, this was their Instagram. This was at the CAR meeting.
Really?
They were talking.
Okay.
Yeah, because of what was happening in LA County and Ventura County.
Yeah, because I know with my insurance agent, she said it wasn't necessary, but I made her do it. And someone today said it was actually an Instagram. Okay.
So did you all catch this?
Thank you.
Do you want anybody to repeat that?
What a really good idea right now would be to reach out to all of your past clients and have an insurance conversation and get them into communication with their insurance agent. Because regardless of what normal practice might be, the losses in LA are so extreme, the companies are gonna look for any reason to deny. So you wanna make sure you're following the letter of the law and you have your increased, replacement costs.
And this insurance broker said that she actually has a solution for those who are denied or not renewed. And she's also gonna provide us a list of questions to give to our buyers to ask insurance. So she's gonna provide a lot of value, so please be here.
Hopefully, in the end, we're all gonna pay.
Yeah.
We're all gonna pay through our insurance premiums, whether it's homeowners or renters insurance, car insurance, because they're gonna have to probably nationalize the insurance industry with the losses they have.
I got an answer to your question.
Yeah.
Ready for this one?
Is it hard labor camp?
Federal mortgage fraud, false statements on loan applications or bank fraud, convictions can lead up to 30 years in federal prison. And fines up to $1 million. State mortgage fraud, penalties vary by state, but include 1 to 10 years in prison, and fines of restitution. And it depends on multiple parties, the sums of the money, any kind of additional crimes like wire fraud, conspiracy. So it's serious, you guys. It's not a joke. We want to make sure that we're all aware. We're all on the same page.
Okay, good. Thank you, Ed. Okay, I'm going to stop the presentation for a little bit because there's something I wanted to give away. And we had our award ceremony a couple weeks ago. And unfortunately, there was an award I wasn't able to give out, and that was the Broker of the Year award for the agent that stood out the most. And I'll try and recount what I said. I go, this individual always challenged me, reached out to me whenever they had a question, and actually challenged me so much that I had to double check too to make sure I was giving the right answer. And it's really proud to present John Fields.
No, not
what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah, why do you think you got it?
Because I know the contract,
Yeah,
and I
you
always
do.
dispute it with you and talk things out, and I try to do things by the book.
Okay, smile, I got you covered.
Yes, we're doing it.
Wait, hold up.
Okay, hold on, one. Can't get away from pictures.
Thank you.
And I was mad you weren't there because it's much more dramatic at the event. But that's wherever you were on vacation, you're having fun time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, what happens when you get a lawsuit or something?
They show up at my house.
You get what?
They show up at my house.
They show up at your house.
Did you make money?
Or you have a buyer
We got
call.
served last week.
Oh my God.
By the way, all these forms have been emailed. They're already in your email. It's already been sent out. And it's also posted on Facebook if you say you can't find the email. But you all should have it. So this is, I just kind of want to walk people through what happens when you have what we call a post-close issue. So post-close issue, you'll call me and say, this happened a few weeks ago, buyer feels that the seller didn't disclose something because the roof is leaking. Okay, great. What do? What would you do?
Call you.
Call me, right?
First thing I do is check the home warranty.
Check the home warranty. But they're specifically stating that they think the seller did not disclose something. Check
Look into your notes.
Okay.
Say it loud.
It sounds like we need to involve an attorney now.
Disclose.
What's that?
Check the disclosure form.
Check the disclosure forms, okay.
Close.
Ask John Fields, you got the
You probably advise that if they think there's been a non-disclosure issue, that they need to talk with an attorney.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you for reaching out to me and letting me know about that. Here's what we need to do. If you feel that the seller is intentionally not disclosed something, then that sounds like it's a legal issue. And it would be against my fiduciary duty to be able to give you legal advice right now. So here's my advice. What I would like you to do is make contact with a qualified California real estate attorney to start discussing your options. We'll be here to help you provide any documentation that you might be needing, the contract documents, all the stuff that went through escrow. Please, and if you don't have an attorney, if you guys been on the San Diego County Bar Association website, it's so good to refer them to. Basically, they go in there and it says, what attorney are you looking for? Real estate. What type of real estate? And it goes down, it drills down so much so they can find an attorney. It's recommended that you send them to the website rather than giving them an attorney to use. You can give them attorneys to use, just like you can get home inspectors, but why do you not want to really give a referral for an attorney? Liability. Because what if that attorney sucks?
And they don't come back to you.
Well, and the other thing, some of you, if you haven't been in lawsuits, may not know, if you refer that attorney to that client, you can't then use that attorney. But there's a conflict. So if you have somebody you really, really like, you might want to keep them for yourself.
Wait, why? Why can't?
Conflict of interest. They cannot.
On that same,
On that same
case.
By the way, if your client is calling you with a non-disclosure issue, guess who's going to be named in the lawsuit? You are going to be.
Yeah, Ashley was the beneficiary of the lawsuit being delivered to her house that she brought to me today. Yeah, unfortunately, unlike real estate agents, you can't represent the buyer and seller.
Yeah,
You can't represent both
Get that now.
defendants.
I thought you meant like forever.
So, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna call me and reach out to me. And then, in this link, I actually have a document that I put together that's kind of step by step. And then you go ahead and start documenting everything. And you're gonna send out an email based upon our conversation. You discussed with me that A, B, C, D, E. This is a legal issue. I highly recommend you speak to a qualified California real estate attorney. If you don't have one, here's a link to the website. And then, so what typically happens when that happens is they're like, can't you help me? No, because you can't, because once escrow closes, your agency with that person stops. So you have no more. So many times you all want to jump in to help, right? You want to help them, I get it. But your agency has stopped and you have no more, you don't have any duty to that transaction or that's buyer or seller anymore. Okay? So it's towing a very thin line, and 90% of the times, the agents, when I tell them they have to do this, they don't like the answer, but unfortunately that's the answer and they'll have to follow. So in that link, you can link to this document that walks you through it, but you're gonna also call me too, and I'll walk you through it as well. Okay, so who's been keeping up on the car newsletter that comes out about price gouging and stuff like that? Chris is the only one? So what is the fine and imprisonment for price gouging?
10 years, $50,000. 10 years?
It was 1 year and $50,000. So what is price gouging?
Any increase over 10%.
So because of the fires in LA, the governor of the state of California issued an executive order that if anybody rented a property, wanted to try and rent a property that was 10% more than they originally rented it for, then they can be considered what's called price gouging during the time that it's happening. And it's subject to a $50,000 fine or 1 year in jail. And they've outlined certain zip codes. It's not any zip codes around here, but that doesn't mean that they won't expand the executive order. So I just wanted to make you aware of it. Last week when I was at Mega Camp, my heart dropped because we actually got a letter about price gouging from one of our agents. And I'm like, oh my God, what did she do? And I quickly found the address, I got online, and this is important for you guys to know because this is really what happened, was she had nothing to do with it, our agent had nothing to do with this property. There are scams out there during times like this that are putting stuff on the internet, and this was with Rent-A-Meter or
Rentometer. Yeah.
Rentometer, and then one other website. So this is a good touch point for your owners of your sphere of influence that own a property to kind of be searching for their address, because what they do is they go out there, they put this fake ad out there, and they attempt to extort people to rent the property, and it's not really their property to rent. And that's what happened. And so, and that's why we got the notice for price gouging. And the agent doesn't even live in the state of California anymore. She moved east. And right now she's in Colorado. But I was really nervous because I'm like, she does properties up in the Pasadena area, and that's where the property was located. But there are those scams. I want you to be aware of it. It's a good touch point to contact your database. You have nothing to talk about that. Broker advisor and open houses. I've had some agents come to me lately about, thank God we have broker Bob that teaches how to do the open houses the proper way. Wait. I don't even know what they are now, but let's go through it. So when we first got into the new NAR rule changes, I attempted to present and make sure I presented it the right way. So I want to make sure you're all on the same page with how do you do an open house and what are the rules. The questions are you confused about the rules? Does every visitor have to sign a document for reviewing a home? And how do you handle those who refuse? And can agents still market their own services to open house guests? So, does every visitor have to sign in?
No.
Judy gets it. No, the answer is no. But if they're not signing in,
You
then,
can talk about it more than what was on the flyer.
well, so there's two sets of houses you're holding open. Let's talk about the house you're holding open for a listing agent at Keller Williams. Are you allowed to talk about the house if an open house attendee comes in and refuses to sign?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
We have those.
Because the broker has the listing.
Yeah, because we're agents for the seller and you're a sub-agent for that seller because you're under our license and you're covered. So you can go to the extent and talk about the house only.
Not the sellers.
But what if they want to start talking about the house down the street? No, you cannot start talking about the house down the street because now you're creating what's called implied agency. And we think that there's people out shopping to try and nab agents. This is probably where we feel is the next lawsuit, that they're trying to come nab agents that aren't following the rules. And we have heard stories of what we call secret shoppers. We can't verify them, but giving you guys the rules and letting you operate under them is the easiest way. What are the documents that people can sign if they walk into the open house? What are the four?
The open house.
The OHNSA. PSRA. Yeah. BRBC. There's one more.
IDONK.
Someone say the open house.
Open house.
I don't know.
Visitor forms, whatever.
The BNA. The buyer non-agency.
That's what it says.
So if you're getting a person walking in to the listing that refuses to work with an agent, yet they're wanting information and you're still representing the seller in one of our listings, you can talk about that. But the best thing is to get that BNA. So that should actually be in your arsenal when you're going out to the open houses, is have an extra BNA. Because what that basically says is, I don't represent you, buyer, I represent the seller.
And I'm just getting you information.
Yes.
Isn't that also the open house?
Yeah,
What's that?
That's on the open house, that open house form where it's stating that you are not represented.
It does, but if they refuse to sign that, then I have to have you sign this. Before I can give you any more information, I need to have you sign this BNA. If you're choosing to represent yourself. That's just another form you can use in replace of the PSRA and the OHNSA.
So we can still let them go through the open house, we just can't answer their questions, right? If they refuse to sign either or.
You can, if you're representing, if it's our listing, you're representing our seller. You can answer questions about the house.
Even if they refuse to sign.
Even if there's.
But get to the point where they really want to start talking, I really need to have you sign this if you want more information. Yeah. Safety is a precaution. It's just being precautious. Okay? So how do you handle those that refuse? Simply give them the house and give them the layout and have them go to county.
I have yet to have not one person.
I don't give them a choice.
Good.
Right on, Nikki. Yeah,
It's
I haven't had a problem.
I haven't really had problems.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's really an issue, and the ones that don't, I'm like, just kind of shush them off.
Right. Definitely not serious.
Is there a separate OHNSA SI form required for each buyer?
no,
No.
that's,
It's a
no.
list.
No, it's.
Okay, good, just checking.
Can we turn it over and use the back? Is that how it's used?
You can do that too. You can use that.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if it's not our listing, and you're doing an outside agent's property?
We don't do that.
They have to,
Oh, do we do that?
I got several people talking at once, I didn't hear
they have to sign in,
it. Or
you kick them out.
well, you don't kick them out.
Don't ask, you have to talk to them.
You can't answer any questions, so what are you doing there? You're just holding someone else's house open, and you can't talk to that person as they're going through and touring the house. Okay? So you gotta be really careful with that. So if they refuse to sign anything, and it's not our listing. Now, I was asked this week, this was a broker policy I had to implement, was we can't have outside agents hold our listings open. So here's why, I wanna explain why. One, our E&O carrier would hate it, they hate it. And here would be an example. We have an outside agent come into the property and they're not covered by our carrier and they're answering questions with a buyer coming in the door and they answer the question wrong. That creates liability for you as well as for the seller because they're answering questions that aren't right about the property. If it's our listing, we're protected under E&O insurance. Or we have an agent from the outside come in and do the open house, but they fall down and break their leg or their back or their hip. That's a liability now on behalf of the seller, that they now would be responsible for that person that was on their property holding that open house, and now that person's suing the seller. Because the listing agreement indemnifies us for those type of acts. So, as much as it pains me, I didn't want to put that policy in place, and I pushed it off for years, but every broker is moving towards that now with the new NAR rule changes. So I wanted to explain why, so you understood that. It's really to protect you, protect your seller, and not creating a liability for an open house with the public coming in and accidentally falling, and then they're suing that seller. Okay?
Can you repeat one more time, if someone is holding another brokerage's open house, what can you share, what can you not share? Can you repeat that one more time? You have them sign in as normal, and if you can or you cannot talk about the listing. If it's someone else's brokerage.
If you're holding someone else's listing open outside, you don't go do that. I don't care about that because that's that broker's issue, not mine. But you're limited as to what you can say about the property because you're not an agent for the seller. You're not an agent for that brokerage.
So it doesn't matter if they sign, don't sign, either way.
If they sign it, you can consult them.
Yeah, if they sign the BRBC, then you can start talking about stuff like that. But you got to be really careful and walk that fine line, not give too much information about the house because you're not representing the seller.
Right.
Can you at least give whatever information is written in the MLS?
Yes, whatever's written in the MLS and on the flyer.
Right. And just disclose that we're not representing the seller, it's our brokerage, so.
Yeah. That B&A form is really a good one.
Rob,
Yes.
I know we have some agents in our office that take listings outside of San Diego.
Mhm.
Is that open house rules, I assume, would still be in place for out of San Diego?
It is, but it's a pain on my side. So what we've had to do in areas like that is we've had to have that agent sign the ABA, affiliate broker addendum, because now they're working on behalf of the seller if they're coming in and doing the open house. I actually had that situation with some of our agents that had a listing up in LA. And it would, we have to do that to protect the seller. So remember we talked last time about the BRBC and accepting offers and making sure that you're verifying that the BRBC is valid and in place.
Yes.
So we still are very concerned about this on the statewide level as brokers, but CARS doesn't seem to be so concerned, but we are. We're really pushing them. And we've already had a few claims come through from some listings. Not us, but this is statewide what we're reporting. So here's one of them. Here's some possible claim that can happen. So when you are a listing agent, you accept an offer, and the buyer is asking for you, the seller, to affirm they have a valid BRBC in place or buyer broker agreement in place. That's what section in the contract? It's in section 3G3. It's in that section that they're affirming. They're only affirming that they have one in place. It's the duty of the listing agent to verify that there is a valid BRBC or buyer broker agreement in place. And in the previous change before December, we could get that, but now it's not, they don't have to deliver it. So we're moving into the era where you as a listing agent should be requesting that in part of the counteroffer. But here's some of the claims that have already happened. Deposit disputes, breach of contract claims between the buyer and the seller because the latter discovery of the discrepancy means the seller is contractually free of any obligation to pay the buyer's broker. So if the BRBC or the buyer broker agreement is invalid, it's not unenforceable, then basically the seller does not have to pay the buyer broker compensation. So what makes a BRBC valid? How long can it be for?
3 months.
3 months.
3 months. Okay. Yes, Chris.
So I recently had someone submit an offer where they wrote the offer on, let's say, the 10th. And when I asked for the BRBC to verify it, like a couple days later, in the counteroffer, the BRBC was dated for the 12th. So it was 2 days after. That would completely not be valid, and the seller wouldn't be obligated if they agreed to pay some sort of commission, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was delivered 2 days late, with a signature 2 days late.
And it doesn't happen during the escrow where this becomes a dispute. Where does it happen? After, post-close. This is what happens post-close that the seller discovers. Wait a minute, because they spoke to an attorney about something, and hey, can you just review this document? And the attorney says, hey, that wasn't enforceable. You didn't need to pay that. And then who do they come after? They come after you.
So Robert, how do you, when you catch it, because that kind of happened prior with one of mine, you remember, how do you have that conversation?
Hey, dumbass.
Exactly, that's what I thought you'd say. How really do you have that conversation? We don't need to.
How do I or you?
Well, how would I?
Just, you have to have it, that's the point.
Just
In
say,
the document
hey,
and in writing.
according to this, my seller doesn't need to pay you. What's the solution for that though?
Solution is to double confirm in a writing between buyer and seller that the seller is agreeing to pay the buyer's
Okay,
broker
good.
compensation.
That's what I wanted to hear, some kind of solution to.
Yeah, put it in writing.
Okay.
When in doubt, put it in writing if you need to clean stuff up.
Beautiful.
Is it still valid if the BRBC expires during the escrow?
So that question happened this week, and I was gonna bring that up. Thank you, Beacon. So what happens if your BRBC expires mid-escrow?
It's still valid. When it was contracted.
It is still valid, because at the time of the contract consummation, it was valid, but what should you do? Get an extension. Just like when you pick a listing, if a listing expires mid-escrow, you have to extend it before it expires out, otherwise it ends up expired in the MLS, and then you're really screwed, you gotta go back and explain, and then you look like an idiot, right? Not that that's ever happened to me.
You take great care of this, Robert.
No, I'm saying me, I did it once. It actually expired. Conflicts between the buyer and their broker, resulting in a negotiation between the two of them as to how any shortfall is going to be funded. So are you having the conversation up front with your buyer? How will we handle a shortfall if the seller's only asking for 2% or offering 2%, but my BRBC with you is at 3% or 4% because I work with Steve Price's team. And I take all mine for 3% plus. So that was the question. Answer.
Discussion when you sign the agreement.
Yes, you're having the discussion at the contract consummation. Claims by the seller against the buyer for fraudulently inducing the seller to enter into the purchase contract by misrepresenting the terms of the BRBC. That's why, again, as the listing agent, you need to counter back and say, buyer to provide fully executed BRBC. I have the language in a few more slides. And then claims by the seller against the seller's broker for negligence. That's where they're coming after you, Bridget. You have a lot of divorces coming up because you have a lot of listings.
You know I don't disclose that. Doing that would be violating my clients for housing laws.
So Robert,
Yes.
I experienced that buyer's agents will submit the BRBC with the offer. So if that happens, we don't need to counter it, right? We don't need to put in the counter, or we?
No, if you got it.
Yeah, okay.
You got it, you're
That's just
verifying.
in the event that they don't.
In the event that they
Okay.
don't. Because remember, there's 24,000 agents in San Diego County. And
We'll know this month.
Now, have they been valid? That's another question.
72% did not do a transaction last year, so they probably don't know the new contract.
Okay.
Okay. And then claims of negligence and or breach of fiduciary duty by the buyer against the buyer's broker for creating mistrust with the seller, which could impact the seller's willingness to negotiate later buyer requests for repairs, time extensions, etc. So we have a buyer that can sue you because you put them in a awful position to be competitive on the house and then get their buyer broker commission fee paid. And then of course, the final 6 is code of ethics violation. By the way, are you all updated on your code of ethics with NAR?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the part of the contract that we hate as brokers in the state of California. All of us are pushing where it says buyer just affirms. At the time that the offer is made, that they have a written agreement that is valid, covers the property, and provides for compensation for no less than the amount stated above. So this is probably going to get us sued if we don't get it fixed, because we're pushing to do that. So temporarily, you'll put as a condition of this is in your counter offer if they didn't provide it, as a condition of the seller paying the buyer's broker compensation requested in 3 RPA 3G3, and in the yellow I put or any place in the RPA because we are seeing some people write it in other terms. They're not checking box 3G3. So that's only if they put it in other places. Okay? The buyer shall deliver a valid, fully executed buyer representation agreement with the signed seller counter offer.
Are
And
these
then-
slides gonna be sent out to us?
We already have.
Oh, we have, oh.
Who said that? Were you asleep earlier?
Give us just so much information. Yeah, I've been trying to,
It's already in your inbox and it's
Okay.
posted on Facebook.
I haven't checked my inbox.
But I said at the beginning.
Busy on the
Some
sales.
mistake, but it's not there.
Robert.
So friendly reminder, because this is where Mark really texts me every time. If you have a new purchase agreement, a new listing agreement that's not on the market yet, or you have a new BRBC, you have 2 business days to create an opportunity and have that uploaded into Command. So what is happening is people think, well, I have a new listing, I don't really need to upload it until I get an offer. No, because we have to review it. Because 90% of the times what's happening is 90% of you in the room that are taking listings in the name of a trust, screw that up. And what is the effect if you don't get the name of the trust proper on the documents?
If you can't sell it, it's not the owner. The owner's the trust.
What else also happens?
You gotta redo the paperwork.
Well, you have to redo the paperwork. That's why Mark wants to review it. But in order for you to put a listing in the MLS, you have to have a valid listing agreement. If you don't have a valid listing agreement and you input it into the MLS, you get fined. What is the fine for not having a valid listing agreement?
$1,000?
$1,000. Which is why I implore you to learn how to find that the property is in the name of a trust and figure out how to take that listing in the name of a trust because it could wind up costing you money in the long run. We are more than happy to help you if you're confused on how to do that, or the proper way to do it. We're there to help 24/7, not 24/7, 5 days a week. But nothing irks Mark more than anything is because he knows that if it ever gets litigated or ends up in the MLS's hands, you guys will get the fine. Okay? So, how many business days do you have to submit? An RLA, a BRBC, and a
2 days.
2 business days. So if you take the listing on a Friday, when should it all be in there? Tuesday. Thank you. And then we have to have the BRBCs on file now too. So make sure you get those. You create the opportunity and import them into command. Because the MLSs are tasked with making sure you have a valid buyer broker agreement.
It's good practice anyway to have that all done.
What about all of the open house things that we have to sign? Should those go into command as well?
Like the PSRAs and stuff like that?
Ideally.
I think it's helpful.
Yeah.
And you can't be too, where would you put them?
Well, if it's a listing, you're putting in the listing documents, you know, the opportunity, but if it's a buyer, you know, you've already got the BRBC, you can upload that into there. They're not gonna, I mean, I would find a place to store them digitally, but yeah. If you're not good at putting your people you made an open house in the command, at least put them in the documents somewhere you keep. I saw a hand back here.
Well, Robert.
Yeah.
Just me. Who has been in the business for more than 10 years? Okay. What did we do before we had all these digital files that we could store digitally?
We did.
I mean, so for all of you that are young or new, or both, we had file folders that had individual tab sections, and every single one had to be brought physically into the office for the broker to review. And then we had to keep those damn files for years, 7 years.
And they were this thick.
They were ridiculous.
At least they were short sales.
So when I hear agents complaining they have to upload something, I just kind of roll my eyes. Yes, it's a step, but at least it's not, oh, let me get another tab and physically take it into the office so Robert can look at it.
I mean, we used to write contracts on the hood of our cars.
Yeah.
Because we had.
sure did.
All right. You guys have been great. Again, only focus on the things you can control over the next year and create a sense of community. And we welcome you guys here into the office a lot more because we have a wonderful staff here all the time that provides